Hey everybody, Z Garcia here, and today I'm taking a look at a reprint of a Reiner Knizia classic. This is Blue Moon City. In this game, the players are going to be reconstructing the city of Blue Moon after there has been some warring among the different groups of people living in the city, and they are going to be trying to not just build up the different districts and the different buildings, but ultimately contribute to the obelisk at the center of the city. And, if you contribute the most, you are going to be the winner of the game. You are going to be utilizing the different powers that you are given by these different groups of people through card play, and then making contributions as well. And along the way, you are hopefully going to be impressing the dragons as well, and they will be giving you dragon scales, which will help you further along the road. So that's the idea here. This game, as I said, is a reprint of a previous edition that came out from Fantasy Flight Games. Same title, Blue Moon City, and it has been out of print for quite some time, so now it is back in print from Cool Mini or Not, CMON Limited. And we're going to go ahead and take a look at it now. We'll come on back after that. I'll tell you what I think of it. The objective of the game is to make the most offerings to the obelisk here. So for example, in a 3-player game, if you make 5 offerings, as soon as you do so, you win the whole thing. And this is double-sided for 2 players on this side, 3 or 4 players on this side, just a few more spots at the bottom there. The way you make those offerings is by collecting crystals, which are these that come in denominations of 3 and 1. And the way you get crystals is by building up the different cities and by appealing to these dragon figures here. There's 3 of them in 3 different colors, all right? So, at the beginning of the game, I'm going to set it up just for 3 players. Even though we have all 4 colors here, I'll go ahead and remove one of the colors. So I'll remove this and the player marker. And then each of the players is going to get a hand of 8 cards. You're ready to begin. So on your turn, you are going to optionally move your piece up to 2 spaces orthogonally, so 1, 2, or 1, 2, or simply move 1 or not move at all. And then you may make a contribution to the location where you now are. So for example, I could go here for 1, well, this piece, for 1, and then make a contribution there. These cards are going to have colors and numbers, and if I make a contribution equal to the location there, I could put one of my markers there, denoting that I've started to work on that building. So for instance, if I discard these 3 cards in that same color, totaling 5, I could mark that spot there. I can even make more than 1 contribution. If I had enough, I could have made, yet another contribution during the same turn. And then at the end of my turn, I'm going to discard 0, 1, or 2 cards and draw 2 more than that. So say discard 1, draw 3. And then it'll be the next player's go. As soon as a building is completed, that building is going to offer us something to, it's going to offer something to whoever contributed to it, and a little something extra to whoever contributed the most. So back to our example, let's say I did that, and I did that. And then this player here contributed to the center location. Once this is done, pink player there did the most, so I'm going to get 2 scales for that. 2 crystals for that. And then everyone who contributed gets 3 as well. So I'll end up with 5. That player will end up with 3. And then we take these back, and we are going to flip this tile over to the back, denoting that the building is now complete. This building will now offer what's called the neighborhood bonus, meaning once this building or this one is complete, anyone contributing to those will also get the neighboring bonus for the one that's already been completed. And so you'll eventually make some locations that are quite worthwhile if some of the neighboring buildings have already been made. So you definitely want to show up there and contribute at least something so that you walk away with some bonuses. All right? So that's the general idea. Whenever you've got enough crystals to make a contribution to the obelisk and you choose to do so, you will have to make your way back to the center of town and discard the correct number of crystals to put one of your tokens on here. So say I've got 7, I can go on there, make a contribution at 7, and I've got now 1/5 of the way towards winning in a 3-player game. So that is how that works. There are 2 more things I want to talk about: the dragons and the dragon scales, and then the special powers on the cards. The cards are, as you saw, are not just numbers, but they sometimes have a special power at the top of the card as well. So the dragons, if they are somewhere where you make a contribution, they are going to give you a dragon scale. For every dragon there, you get one of these dragon scales. There's a certain number of these in play, depending on the number of players. And once they are all exhausted, then the players who have the most are going to get some crystals. There might be a second place amount of crystals handed out. And then they are all put back in the pool, and we will start earning them again. You're going to get those, like I said, from the dragons, possibly sometimes from completing some buildings. So it's a way to generate crystals in a cyclical manner that will happen probably a few times throughout the game. And these dragons are going to be jumping into the city and then moving around with card powers. So let's talk about some of those, okay? These cards are going to allow you to fly the dragon or move the dragon based on the color of the dragon, in this case, the red dragon here. With these two, you are going to have cards that allow you to move yourself extra spaces, not just the base 2, but possibly 2 more, possibly just jump anywhere in the city. You are going to have cards that turn other cards different colors, such as this one here, that allows you to turn up to 4 other cards of the same color into a different color, okay? And you are going to have some cards that become wilds, like these cards here have, if you have 2 of these with matching symbols, together they become a wild 3 of any other color. And you are even going to have some cards that are always wild, like these with a single 1 there in green. There are no green locations out here, as you can see, so these are always wild. This can be a 1 in anything you'd like it to be. So those are some of the general powers you're going to find in the deck. Usually, the 1s, 2s, and 3s, the 1s will have a stronger power than the 2, and the 3 will have no power at all, because you can use it effectively, rather effectively, to contribute to one of the locations on the board. And on your turn, you can trigger as many of these powers as you want. You can make contributions and so forth. You can contribute as much as you'd like. You could even complete a whole building in one go, but you will only have 1 movement phase at the beginning of the turn. Now, besides everything you see out here, the game does include 4 tiles rather, that are sort of promotional tiles originally. They are now included in here. You may choose to use these, and they will give you, except for one of them, a little bonus if you end your turn on that tile. So say this one, for example, allows you to make a contribution to the obelisk just by ending here, no matter where this tile ends up in the city. Though, normally you can put it in the corners or just shuffle it in. This one here is going to let you draw 2 cards, 2 extra cards if you end there. And this one's going to let you go from this building, if you end here, anywhere on the board, and continue next time. So there you go. That is pretty much everything you need to know about the game. It's sort of a race. Make those contributions. Whoever does so the earliest, whoever's actually able to hit that number, make 5 in this case, is going to win the game. So let's go back up top. Let me tell you what I think of it. All right, so there it is. So let's go ahead and talk about it. All right, before I begin, I am going to mention that I am a fan of Blue Moon City, the original printing. It's a game that I do enjoy, and this is basically the exact same game. There's a real minor rules change that I was able to spot. That is the number of dragon scales in the pool per the number of players. They tweaked that number slightly. Not sure why, but they did. Everything else is identical, and the scale thing is not noticeable. So I do like the game. I have my original version still, and so this is a review that's going to largely be positive, as because I like the game already. And I'll just be mentioning some of the things specifically to this edition, perhaps. Though I am aware that most people watching this probably are not familiar with the original version, so I won't harp on that too much. I will be doing a separate video comparing the 2 editions. Keep an eye out for that. So let's kick it off with some of the things I liked. I'll start there. Some of the things I did not like so much at the end. All right. So, theme. I do like the theme in this game. I like the whole fantasy rebuild a town thing. So that I enjoy. Replayability I've always found in Blue Moon City to be high. This is, again, still the same game. So I do enjoy the variability. You're going to have not just different cards in your hand, but the town layout will be different. The building bonuses, neighborhood bonuses will shift throughout the game. Being timely and opportunistic with where you go is interesting. So replayability is high. The game length is solid as well. You're looking at 45 minutes to an hour here. So I really like that. The game moves along at a nice clip. And the strategy in the game is solid. As I said, there's a lot of sort of things you can do to react. It does feel like a race. Usually when someone wins, you were almost ready to strike on your next turn. So it's a game of, pecks, little pecks. If those add up to, a slight advantage, that's going to get you the win. There might be a few turns in the game where you make bold moves, right, where you did a lot in one turn. But you also have to always conserve how many cards you're spending for a bold move versus just sneaking in someplace, spending 1 or 2 cards, and getting almost as much as someone who really spent a large chunk of their hand of cards. Again, subtle, but very tactically rich. Things I thought were just okay to not so great, okay? So ease of play, and then components are the things I'm going to finish up with. Ease of play is fine. It's easy to play, except you really need to make sure that you need good lighting to play this game. And that's because, again, of the components. So here are some of the issues I have with the components, which is surprising that my biggest gripe with the game is a component and sort of usability gripe, because that's not normally the case with games from CMON Limited. The colors on the board are too close. There's a gray, a brown, and a black, and in even fairly good lighting, you're going to have a hard time telling some of those apart. The gray and the black are very close. The brown looks a lot like the gray. There's a lot of muted earth tones on the board that are going to throw you for a loop if you're not really careful, okay? So, colors are too close. The tokens that you use to mark where you contribute to a building feel really cheap. They are plastic pieces. They have a little bit of flash around the edge. It just feels quite cheap for a CMON Limited game especially, but just in general. The dragons are going to be 3 different colors, but instead of simply making the dragons a red plastic dragon, a blue, and a green, instead they've put on bases on them, those clip-on bases that CMON does use in quite a few of their games. But that makes sense when that figure you are marking with a colored base might change control. It might start as yours, and then I might take off your base and put mine on it. Now it's mine. Maybe next game, maybe during the same game. Well, in this game, as soon as you've put a colored base on a dragon, you will never have to change it, ever. There's 1 red dragon, 1 blue, 1 green. So I'm not sure why that system is in place. They should have simply made the dragons out of that colored plastic. So that didn't... that just seemed like a weird choice. It's usable, it's fine, but why not just make it really vibrant and have it stand out? Less gray or, muddy brown or, any of these colors. Less of that in this game would have helped. So why steal some of that color back out of it by giving the dragons just a little plastic base? Anyway, overall, as I said, this game's fantastic. I like the game a lot, but this edition does have a couple of choices, color choices, things like that, component choices that I found less than stellar. They're not horrible. Game's perfectly playable, especially in good lighting, but they are there, and I wanted to mention them, okay? So, Blue Moon City, I'm thrilled to have this back in print. This one's going to get a strong seal of approval from me. I definitely recommend, if you're someone who never played the game when it originally came out, that you give it a shot. And I think you're going to be impressed. It's a mid-weight, fun, family sort of Euro game that gives you a lot of fun little turns and little, actions you can do to feel cool when you take splashy turns. So again, seal of approval from me. That is Blue Moon City. Thanks for checking this out with me. I'm going to see you on the next one.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com.